Saiyans of Sadala. It's the week in between pre-release and official release, which means Saiyan Showdown cards are out in the world, though not yet completely. I bought 3 boxes online, and unfortunately for me, I'll have to wait for official release for them to be sent out to me, but I couldn't help myself and bought a box at pre-release, so I have a little bit of set 15 to hold in my hands. As such, I won't be able to build a deck and play it at locals this week yet, at least not a complete one, full of new cards, so for this entry into the deck diary, I'm going to focus on Kefla Surge, as that one won't require as much new stuff, and also I'm hyped for her after the reveal of the new art coming in Mythic Booster. There are a few fundamentals when it comes to building this leader. Number 1 is that you need to compensate for the lack of draw power. Number 2 is that you need to run enough 2 cost or less Universe 6 cards to take advantage of the ability to play them for free when you aren't awakened. And number 3 is that you need to have a good balance between blue cards and yellow cards in order to reliably Surge Awaken when you need to. To Surge Awaken, you need to take a blue card and a yellow card from your hand and put them under your leader, so if the build of the deck is unbalanced in favour of one colour, you risk having a hand that only consists of that colour. Because of the unisons I'm wanting to put into this deck that are blue, I'm going to need to charge mostly blue cards for the first few turns, so this would naturally force me to have more blue cards in the deck, so multicolour cards are going to be important. Charging with energy exhaust isn't as forgiving as it used to be, so thankfully there is this hit card from the last set, Cross Spirits. Turn 1, you'll have to charge a mono blue or a multicolour with energy exhaust, but then all you need to do is play a battle card for free with your leader ability, and provided it's still there at the start of your next turn, you can charge hit in active mode. Putting cards in your deck that's only function is to be used as energy, such as the Beerus card that can negate its energy exhaust, isn't ideal as it's taking up space that would be much better served by a card with multiple uses, so thankfully this hit card does have multiple uses. He fulfills all of the fundamentals I just talked about. When he's played, he draws a card. He's a 2-cost Universe 6, so Kefla can play him for free as both a blue and a yellow card. He can be used for Surge Awakening. He also makes it easier to play Hit, Pride of Universe 6, so that's good, but even if you aren't wanting to play that card in the deck, I would say Hit Flawless Attacker is an automatic inclusion of 4 in Kefla Surge. The cards that you include in the build as targets for Kefla to play for free will depend on what direction you want to take the deck. If you want to focus on fusing into Kefla, you'll want 4 Cauliflower Spunky Allure. She gets the draw and she benefits from fusing. 4 copies of Sisterly Bonds Kale is good as well. She may not draw, but she potentially plays a Cauliflower, which in turn could be Spunky Allure or the Bold Sister, which will draw a card on top of playing both of your fusion pieces in one go. They're both good if you want to focus on playing the Awakened Sisters as well. Though the promo Kale, the Enigmatic Beauty, isn't worth being used in an Awakened Sisters build, or I would even say at all. I always found that because you want to play her for free in the early game, her auto usually won't have any targets. It does sound good that she'll untap 1 after fusing, until you realise that this Kale exists. A 15k battle card that costs 2, so can be played for free with Kefla, and will untap 1 at the beginning of your opponent's turn, just like Enigmatic Beauty, except as a result of her attacking. Much better value. You could still use her to fuse after attacking, or just keep her around and do it again the next turn. If you want to play a strategy that focuses on making a big board, with perhaps Hit in Cold Blood as your endgame card, you might want to have the battle cards you're spamming out be able to attack on their own, as opposed to fusing into a Kefla, leaving you with less cards on board. There is Kale, Universe 6 Protector, and Cauliflower, The Time Has Come, to name some options. You could even get some heavy hits in with skillless cards, with the options being Kaba and Magetta. If you want to play a blue-yellow good stuff build that takes advantage of the Elita being both blue and yellow, you'll still want to run some 2-cost Universe 6 cards, and because they won't be as relevant to your strategy, depending on what it is, you can go for some more generic cards that will still offer you value, like Kaba, Undisguised Rage, which is a revenge blocker, or Kefla, Universe 6 Fusion Warrior, which you could just be playing specifically to get the Draw 2 Bottom Deck 1 auto, and it's a 15k attacker. And speaking of Kefla Universe 6 Fusion Warrior, she is one of the new cards that gives me hope that Kefla Surge can be better now, helping deal with the number 1 fundamental, making up for the lack of draw power. The other option being, of course, Hit, battlefield manipulator. If your deck will have Kefla lightning speed in it, make sure to run her at 4 so that when you are discarding her for the activate main to give dual attack, you'll be able to discard a copy of her and get the draw 2 and a rest effect. And a standard idea is Great Ape Son Goku Saiyan Instincts. Use him as your Surge Awaken card, or just combo with him at some point and then cash in on the draws later when you have enough energy to spare. For super combos, it will definitely be the instinct to go with something that draws, but I think there may actually be a better value in going with the Zamasu super combo. And that is because the leader has an ability, once she's awakened, to get 3 multicolor cards back from the drop, and there are no restrictions on what kind of cards you're getting other than the fact that you'll get them at the beginning of your opponent's main phase. Zamasu will help you with your arrivals, which will in turn give hit a marker if you're doing the arrival on your opponent's turn, and so that helps protect hits and the source of your draws. I think a fourth fundamental to add to all of that for Kefla Surge is that you don't want the list to exceed 50 cards by much, if at all. Even with those attempts to compensate for the lack of draw power, you probably still won't be able to cycle through the deck as well as other decks do, so consistency will be an issue, especially if you are running a strategy like the Awakened Sisters that requires several pieces in your hand to work. Keep those things in mind as you build Kefla Surge, and you should come up with a good deck. I'm still working on mine. I need to finish my playset of hit, so hopefully I'll have a deck list to show you soon. Subscribe to know when it's done, and I'll see you then.